Today's conversation is sponsored by the Billy Keels Advisory Program. If you want to learn more about how to make your 9-to-5 optional, just go to billykeels.com/advising. Once again, that's billykeels.com/advising.
You're listening to the Going Long podcast, the #1 podcast for the strategies, tactics, and actions high wage earners need for living an intentionally designed life of wealth and resilience.
Welcome to the Go Along podcast. We're back once again to continue to help to educate you so that you feel much more comfortable as well as confident in building a life that is both wealthy as well as resilient. So I'm your host, Billy Keels. And guess what? We're back for another solo episode. You're going to get a lot more solo episodes. But really quickly, I do want to say thank you to everyone who continues to tag us on LinkedIn, on Instagram. Makes it absolutely phenomenal. It helps to bring more people to the Going Along family, and we're going to continue to add value. We're going to continue to be there for you. Also, too, if you want to leave an honest written review as well as a rating, we made it really easy. You can find a way to do that. And then also, too, I want to say, if you want to find any of the previous episodes, all you need to do is go to billykeels.com/podcast, and you can find every single episode that we've ever done up to this point. So want to jump into something that has been really important for me. It's really about being able to share one of the strategies that has been helpful. It's one of the things that has helped to move forward. And I know by sharing this story that it's going to also be helpful for you. So I've talked about this before. If you've been following any length of time, I had back in, I don't know, I probably started in 2007, 2008. I was still getting ready to get married. I was soon thinking about the things that I wanted to do and be as a father, as a young father. And one of the things that I wanted to do was be a father who was present, especially present in the events that made the most sense, or the events that I thought were important, just based on the way that I was raised. You may have some, I had things that I wanted to do and places I wanted to be, and things like birthdays. So if I think about some of the things that was happening at the same time, I also come from a very, lower middle class family. And one of the things that I always was told, and one of the things I always learned, was to be able to also create wealth, like have money. Because when I didn't have money, when I saw things didn't have money, then I saw that things weren't really working well. So there was this kind of like two different things in my mind. One was to work hard and make more money, and also to be present at all the things that are really important. And sometimes those things can conflict with one another. And so at the same time, like, what I realized is I was really focused on going out, making more money. And I was really fortunate because I had 2 degrees. The 2 degrees that I had put me in a position to be working for really great companies. I got into the IT sector, got into software, enterprise software sales. And that is just like the most amazing place ever, because you're surrounded by people that are making 6 figures. Some people even making 7 figures when you get those big bonus checks. And those are nice. They always come at a cost, though, because as you're working more time, working more hours, getting to the next level, maybe looking for the promotion, there's a point that I felt really stuck in the rat race, in the corporate rat race. And so that was the thing that was happening, because as I was stuck in the rat race, I realized that very quickly, and it happened. Maybe it happened overnight, but it felt differently. I started putting my company's priorities instead of my own priorities in front of my life priorities. And that all manifested itself when my son turned 3, my oldest son turned 3. Now, here's the thing. Like, I saw my son and I was able to spend time with him. I saw him in the morning before I left for this flight for Germany. But the reality is remember what I mentioned in the beginning, like, I wanted to be present for the special events, and the special event with like my family at the time were, it was a matter of being able to be there for the birthday party. Right. So in-laws and stuff like that. So as I missed the birthday party that evening because I was at a dinner meeting in Germany, like, I was physically not well. Like in my stomach, there was this knot in my stomach because I knew everybody was singing happy birthday back in Barcelona. And I was in this business meeting, and that was like internally, like the knot in my stomach. And it was kind of like the sweat on my nose. And it was just kind of like, oh my gosh, this is not the thing that I want to be doing. Cause it made me feel like I wasn't being coherent. And so, as I missed the party, I started realizing, like, I don't want to I can't do this. I don't want to feel this way anymore. like this sucks. Like I really don't want to feel this way. I want to be there. I want to be at the party. I want to be a part of what is happening with my son or my sons or whoever I needed to be with or I wanted to be with for a special event, because that would have helped me to feel like I was being coherent, helped me to feel that I was in line with my own life priorities rather than putting my company's priorities in front of me. So I felt so terrible, literally felt so terrible. Like the first thing that I did when I got back, aside from, hugging the kids, was being able to get to a place where I sat in a room and I literally wrote out my 5-year plan. But the 5-year plan with SMART goals, and I'm sure I'll go back more into those. And I know I've talked about them in the past, but maybe revisit that topic of setting SMART goals to really create in October of 2012 the platform for me to be able to change the future, change my future for my family, for my boys. And when I went back in 2012 and I actually wrote out that plan and got clear on why I wanted to do the plan, what I realized is that that was going to help to propel me to get to a point where I would continue to go into my job, but my 9 to 5, it wasn't any longer the priority in my life, but it was still a priority. But I realized, like, I want to be in more control so that I don't have to make a decision as to whether I want to go to a business meeting or not. And I know that that's not always possible for everybody, but this was my reality. This is my life. This is what happens to a lot of people who are in enterprise software sales or in high-end sales. And this was my life. And so what I realized is when I actually made the plan, that was in October 2012, I didn't actually truly take action until December of 2015. Right. So there was like almost 3 years that went by that I was studying, looking, consuming content, reading, watching YouTube videos, listening to podcasts like this one, but I didn't actually take any action, meaning that I didn't go out and actually make my first purchase. Maybe I started probably 4 or 5 months before, where I put in my first letters of intent or LOIs. But eventually, in December 2015, I actually purchased my very first duplex. Like, I was living in Barcelona, Spain. That duplex was in New Jersey, but actually I closed on it while I was in Cairo, Egypt, which was like, well, maybe we'll go into that in a different story. But the reality was I actually made the plan a reality because the first purchase was there. And for me, what that meant was, yes, the first assets were in the portfolio. It was the goal that I had. It was the plan that I had. But more importantly, my soul felt liberated, because I knew that once I made this work and work repeatedly, then I was no longer going to have to be reliant 100% on being able to generate income and having to continue to go up the corporate ladder. Like, I just felt free because I was like, wow, I actually did this. I never made the time to look for doing anything outside of corporate life because I was so busy in that like hamster wheel going around and around. And this was actually the opportunity to not only bring the assets, the duplex into the portfolio, but more importantly, it made the click in my mind that said, hey, you know what? I can actually do this. I don't have to be dependent on somebody else. And I don't ever have to miss another event that's important to me. So when I think about missing my oldest son's 3rd birthday, it actually, and I talk about it a lot in terms of the pain that it generated me, but at the same time, it's the thing that set me up to be able to leave or to leave corporate, to be able to build my future. And building that future was something that is absolutely key. So I thought it was important just to share that with you because I know I talk about it, but I don't actually talk about like how important that was in terms of being able to build the future. Sometimes you have to go through the pain in order to be able to get to where you truly want to be, to get to your own priorities, to reestablish things. And so this is one of the things I'm actually doing today. I'm helping other people that are high wage earners that are feeling maybe a little bit trapped, feeling like you can't stop the inertia that happens when you're in the corporate life. Maybe you're feeling like your life priorities are off. Maybe you're struggling a little bit about how you're getting your side hustle built up. If you're struggling with any of these things and you think that you need some help, one of the things you can do is, well, continue to be back here because you're going to get a lot of strategy, actions, and tactics that you can put into place. If you want something that's a lot higher touch, and you want someone that can be there who's done that already, go to billykeels.com/advising. And you can find out, there's a little application there, and you can find out a little bit more about how we could potentially work together. So once again, go to billykeels.com/advising. While you're doing that, while you're sharing today's conversation with others so that you can talk about kind of my story and how it can affect you and what you can do differently, I'm going to be here preparing for the next conversation. So until then, go out and make it a great day. And thank you very much. Today's conversation was sponsored by the Billy Keels Advisory Program. If you're looking to make your 9-to-5 optional and need some help, just go to billykeels.com/advising. Once again, that's billykeels.com/advising.